Here we go. Looking at the spawns, I feel like Team Black has a sort of advantage, but I definitely think this can play. Are you okay with letting this play?
I'm totally good with letting this play because I don't think Black has the advantage at all. Look at the northernmost red player and all the medal points next to him.
Okay, let's do the intro. Hello and welcome everybody. This is the semi-final of Taxman's 2v2 tournament and everything to play for. These players have fought through the losers bracket and they are here now in the semi-final, ready to face off and try and make it into the final. Both teams spawning apart and things looking okay for each team. Black has a nice amount of mechs immediately next to both of their players. The southern black player has a little bit less though. And looking over at red, the red player on the left doesn't have too many available to him, but the red player on the right has lots of mechs that he can start expanding to. There's probably going to be quite a bit of confrontation with black over this area here. Pings going out from Team Black, pointing towards the back of their base, which is some very nice areas to expand to.
And I am metabolical. Obviously, here we are with Zaphod to cast this. And something we've been talking about in these games is whether it's good to start with no air factories and do everything via land. And of all the maps on which you would start, I think a moon, we agreed, is one of the better ones where it's maybe okay to just focus on ground units.
We do see the two black players now going for their second factory, going for a vehicle factory and an air factory, so they're going to have their airs up. And looking at red, we see an air factory planned pretty soon, but they're not going super fast on their production just yet. Gampers expanding for Team Black around the back of their base, doing a little bit of scouting, just checking that they can expand out there and grab that medal. I think red really needs to make sure they work on expansion. There's a little bit less medal available to them, and they need to get out scouting intel and work out which way they're heading.
Yeah. Red actually now at 96 medal versus the 68 medal of Black. However, they don't have the power economy to support it, so they're actually kind of struggling. They're just kind of get floating there close, actually.
Gamper moving forwards from Team Black, going to walk into the red player on the left. Might be able to get a couple of pickups or take out a couple of mechs, but we're looking from the eco. Team Red just doing absolutely wonderful and really bad stalling for Team Black. And this is kind of what I was thinking, going for those two factories each very early, it just seems a little bit weak. They haven't got out enough eco to support it. We can see they're building very few mechs, and it definitely seems to be hurting their eco.
Yep, and quite a bit of raiding forces by the black players. You know, again, this has worked well in the past, but I feel like it's relatively straightforward to just plop down a laser turret and call it good.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite paying enough attention. I think this fabricator is going to get taken out by this Dox.
It's going to be close. He does take
down it goes.
So that's a pretty big win.
A very big inconvenience.
Although we're sitting at 82 versus 145 medal right now, there's not many engineers doing too much for red at the moment, so Black will probably start catching up. But Black, just look at their bases. They've got medal right next to them, and they've really been building. I'm not keen on their strategy here.
Yeah, they just came in. They did run into a single laser turret. The single laser turret killed half the army. Remaining Dox of the red team are chasing down the final guy there. More units coming in for Black. I do feel like this military focus is not doing them a lot of favors. Sticking a claim on territory by Black with a double laser tower in between the black bases and the red bases, which I think is a great move.
Well, I guess Black are going for rush strats, right?
Yeah, and on a small planet,
I just don't think it's that powerful in this planet, on this system, on this patch even.
I think the thing to think about when you're contemplating a rush strategy is what are you going to do and how is it going to give you an advantage. And basically by giving up the creation of metal extractors and the creation of fabricators in favor of fighting units, you have to be like, well, I'm going to get out there, I'm going to kill his fabricator. So he's out now. He doesn't have fabricators either, but I do, and I have my army there killing him. But red is kind of easily able to fend this off. And
So we're seeing the game change quite a bit now. Black is actually working on expansion pretty well. Multiple groups of 2 engineers moving out there, building up some turrets before they get on with it. And if we look at the medal count, suddenly sitting at 166 to 180, they are really catching up as well on the power count as well. So very little between the teams. However, Team Red has invested in a lot of T1 factories and is pumping out a lot of units. And suddenly they're going to be the ones putting the pressure way back on Black. And we'll see how they deal with that.
Yeah, and Red is moving their units out all the way around, like really kind of have some units in between their bases, but they also have another cluster of units kind of near the South Pole that are coming around the base. Again, though,
nice little group there, yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty good group, and it's like it has the opportunity to maybe pick off some stuff if they manage that one. And now there's a laser turret going down on the back of Black's base where they're coming in here. So they may get like 1 extractor and 1 fabricator here, I think. But then that laser turret will probably carry the day for them.
That engineer does move away in time.
Yeah. So we can see if they get close enough to that laser turret. They does get in range. Takes out 2 units. 3 units. So they got away pretty cleanly there. And they're moving off towards...
And they're heading perfectly towards the right direction, right in this area. It's actually really important to be raiding from behind. It makes things very uncomfortable for your opponents.
Right, they don't want to move their units from between the bases to the back of their base to deal with like a little raid. But if they don't, then of course they stand to lose a bunch of this set of metal to harass. And so there goes... well, I thought they were going to get 1. Well, they're actually just kind of on autopilot right now, so maybe they're not going to get 1. They're just going to damage them all.
Yeah,
I'll show them.
Group of 6. So, although Pippy and Giggle are now leading 300 to 270 medal, I think if they if those were microed a little bit better, I think they can take out quite a few mechs here and actually even up the stakes again. And
yeah, you can watch this here. Like, okay, now it's 300 to. Yeah, they're gonna. Hopefully they'll get that one. Okay, now it's back to 300 because another one got built someplace else. But you can see that they're really kind of at least keeping things up this way. They're going to get at least 1 more, I think. That tower is going to take out every single one of those. So that's that. They did finally get that last one. So they actually ended up getting 4 of those for 28 metal per second. So that's a pretty substantial, gap closing there. Basically, what we saw there is how Red made better use of their raiding force than Black did of their early raiding force. So I think that was a very well, for them the investment was much better.
However, at the moment, big problems for Red. They haven't expanded much. They have very little map control right now, and they're really not calling the shots. And they're even being raided. Scamper there takes out expanding engineers at the back of their base, not working out too well for them. However, developments on what they're building, they've got T2 air up. They've also got 6 engineers assisting that, and so they're going to get T2 up very quickly. They've also got T2 fabbers already working on power and soon to be working on metal. So their eco is actually going to grow pretty quickly, even though they have ceded a lot of map control here. They're also putting pressure on with all these units, and that's going to put Black a little bit on the back foot. Conversely, Black, after their very poor start, is now expanding very, very well. Laser turret there just completely destroys a huge raiding force of scampers, and you can see multiple groups of engineers expanding all over the back of their base and really getting them a lot of very important map control and eco.
Yeah, Black has really taken over a lot of space there, and they are almost done building their own advanced air factory or advanced vehicle factory. Once that finishes, they will also join the Tier 2 race and be able to kind of quickly boost their eco. And with their greater territory, they should be able to come out ahead in the long run if they, unless Red uses their Tier 2 very quickly to grab some advantages.
Red's also about halfway through a T2 vehicle factory there. Looking at Black, they've already got their T2 vehicle factory finished. 6 engineers there assisting that to get out their T2 engineers. And an air factory is also on the go with 5 engineers building that. It's just been started, but about 20% of the way through right now. Black Commander has moved forward to get rid of this little proxy that Red had built, but currently taking a lot of fire from that laser turret as he slowly takes out those mechs, which is really not going to benefit him too much. And he's already lost a lot of damage. It just keeps piling off him here. He's down by 40% of his life. That's a massive loss. That's around 8,000 medal cost to actually repair that commander. So whether you think that was a favourable confrontation is debatable.
Yeah. He thinking those tier 2 or the double laser turrets. Well, now Jimbo announced disco, so I assume that Drunken Reaper may be disconnected at this time. Hopefully he will get back in the game. It looks like, as far as I can tell, all the player names are white, which I think is still true.
They don't go grey anymore.
They don't go grey in the spectator mode?
Nope.
Hopefully we'll get an update on that.
T2F factory. For Team Black.
Yeah.
Getting out gunships now. Already got a couple of Peregrines for Team Red. Looking at the medal, it's currently sitting at 350 to 480, so Black is taking the lead in terms of eco. However, if we look at Red, they have 54k power compared to 37k, so they're doing pretty well on that front, just stalling their medal a little bit. Just need to pick up some more medal. But Black has much less scope for a whole load of building power usage without that energy. What's happening?
There's still a significant portion of the map that just is available metal.
Scampers literally move faster than like a T2 air transport. What happened there? I bet the guys on the live stream will see that. The Scampers teleported. That was awesome. I'm going to get it back in Chronocam.
A bit of a raiding force by Red moving through. Gonna get picked off by the laser turrets. They did do some damage. It stopped. Could have finished that off. Both teams like cranking out on the metal. It's 433 on the Red side. Okay. Wow, a very close call there on the Black commander.
What the hell, man? You've got to watch this in the video afterwards, but those Scampers teleported at speed of light.
And these Kestrels making a beeline for the commander. Ooh. They did get enough anti-air in place to save it. Those hummingbirds are just protecting the commander now because he is down to, maybe 15% life.
Yeah, pretty low. He's in quite a bit of trouble. And ideally, you do not want to lose that commander. It can keep you back in the game. Got a lag coming in from Drunken Reaper, which is unfortunate. Metal
apparently, he was the one who disconnected earlier, so.
Leveler's moving forwards, and Sheller's there as well, trying to defend against them, doing a pretty good job at the moment. It doesn't look like a visual glitch to me. It looked like they were actually travelling really fast, but I don't know.
Yeah, if they all just kind of exploded around, then it's probably some kind of like pathing issue. So a steady stream of docks moving out from the Red base, heading, I guess that's south, towards the South Pole, and then just into the area with Black. And I think they're going to take out this metal extractor, but that turret is, it does do it. They do manage to streak by and usually get missed as they go by. So
the entire game is beginning to turn around now, as we see Team Red currently sitting at 720 medal compared to 748. Building all of their T2 medal is really pushing them back into the game. They're expanding a lot and building T2 medal that's nowhere near their base. Sending out all the Scampers out towards the back of their base as well, which is working very well for them.
And they have 60% more energy, so they just have a greater capacity to use the metal that they've produced. They may I don't know why they've got so much energy, and the other team has. Wow, they've really passed up. They're at like 811 on the metal, and a nuke going down in their base.
Quickly. They're going to go very quickly from this point on because they're building a lot of T2 metal, so it's going to jump by 28 metal every time they get one of them done. So they're really going to start growing quickly. And looking at Team Black, they're not expanding with T1 mechs at the moment, and they don't seem to be building up their eco as much. However, they have got a lot of T2 factories out, and they've got a lot of units out, and they're beginning to start making moves. A nuke
So
up
they've
from
now got
Team Red.
over 20. Well, they did have over 20 fabricators building that nuke. Now they're down to 2, 4, 6, 8 fabricators working on the nuke. So other guys must have something else important to build, and it really is that time when the losses either team could take by getting nuked are very high, and yet they don't have a lot of defenses or anti-nukes. I don't think I've seen any yet.
Yeah,
I feel
so
like
we'll get
Black
that
is a
up to
little
keep
bit better
track of
about
it.
spreading out their base.
So in this situation, that nuke could really be pivotal in deciding how this game goes, because all they have to do really now is start holding on and then start nuke spamming, and if Team Black doesn't scout it or build anti-nukes and that sort of thing, then they could be in a lot of trouble. I find once one team builds a nuke, that dictates how the game can turn out. But we see a big confrontation of units here coming forwards, a whole load of levelers against some levelers and quite a few shellers mixed in with them. Quite a bit of confrontation occurring here, quite a few units being lost on both sides. The shellers not able to utilise their range really at the moment.
Yeah, the levelers are really moving in. The shellers haven't really even come into play yet. And Red has, a big portion of the Black Army was those spinners. Most of the tier 2 of Red is gone, so they may, it's going to be hard for them to follow up with this, but they've got a few more in the back here. I guess they got 4 more levelers out the back, and they've got 8 or so fabricators building more, so that may help them survive. And Black's starting to back off a little bit.
Nuke has just been finished and just launched by Team Red. And they have a lot of engineers back on that. It looks like at least 30, 40 engineers there. And that nuke is now being launched towards the northern Black base. Probably going to come straight in at the middle and do maximum damage to power and metal. We'll see where it's targeting. It looks like it might be going right towards the middle of the metal, which is always a nice choice.
And possibly kill a lot of these fabricators. That's going to be a lot of build power for the Black team. And devastation there! Really a lot of build powers.
And
go to the arms.
He really gets the best of all worlds there. He's killed a lot of build power, he's killed a solid amount of power as well, and he's lost a lot of metal. And if we have a look at the stats now, that's just going to push them further and further in front in terms of their eco. And losing the build power is critical because it's now harder to build back up and get back into the game.
Interestingly enough, if you look on the Army tab, Black team still has more fabricators than the Red team. So it's 100 fabricators to 73. So even though all those fabricators got taken out, they actually still have more build power. Now, the Red team has over twice as many factories, so they can produce units faster than the Black team. But the Black team able to make up for it with, a third again as many fabricators to help assist.
Red is doing a great job of solid turning with a whole load of flak around both of their bases. Really ready for anything at the moment, and this is the sort of stage where I think they should just be piling more engineers on their nukes and nuking for the win. It's a little bit boring for viewers, but I think in this stage they can hold on to the game, and using the nukes to win is probably the best strategy.
Yeah, and that nuke is at 90% now as well, so they have a big opportunity to just keep doing that. They can take out another chunk someplace else. The Black base near the South Pole. Let me just get the view of Red of that space. They can see a lot of what's going on there. They know that there are 2 tier 2 factories, 2 advanced factories there, and it would be a pretty good idea for them to hit that spot. Not a long distance.
Nuke has been launched halfway between the bases now, going at the other base and launching.
Lucky guess there for me, I think, on where they're going to land that thing.
Yeah,
the tier 2 bots are getting out of there, and they skedaddle sufficiently.
Critical.
But super well
placed.
placed.
Air from Black, however, and they run straight into Flak and Peregrines and back off. So, I mean, in this situation, when you get nukes coming out like this, really, I think the response is either get air over there and snipe nuke launcher, or immediately go for anti-nukes, because if you spam it hard enough, the anti-nukes are cheaper, you should be able to get it out just about in time.
Yeah, the problem with the anti-nukes, I mean, I think anti-nukes are a good thing to have. The problem they have is that they protect a pretty good area, but he's got a lot of areas to protect. So unless he can get them up quickly and multiple places, then it's going to be hard for him to make that work. I think he could use this Air Force he's got roaming around, just keep picking off pieces. Like, he's flying past that some metal extractors, and he's not doing anything. He's really just kind of scouting with them. And he could really just be doing a lot of damage with them, and he runs into a giant swarm of anti-air, and they all die. So that is what we call a drag. And the next nuke is about 50%, 40% done really. And interestingly enough, the economy from a metal perspective is pretty equalized between the two of them. And the metal, or the from a metal perspective, Black's actually ahead. From a energy perspective, Black is behind, but they've seemed to have enough energy to sustain it anyway. So it's not that big a deal. Big army near the North Pole moving in, tier 2. Black's kind of on the offensive, taking out a bunch of stuff here.
I think Red, although they're falling behind in medal right now, which is really interesting, they've done very well of defending their borders with the anti-air all over the place. It's just a bit of a nightmare to try and assault them. So I think they've done a great job there, whereas Red, less defences and not quite as solid and impenetrable.
Yeah, I think that it would be useful for Black to just throw in a couple vanguards when he makes an attack with these tier 2 tanks, because the levelers are good. I mean, they can really do a nice balanced range damage. They don't have the range of the shellers, but it's okay because they have sufficient range that they can do damage on the way in. But throw a couple. Oh, interesting. That was a GG by Giggle. Throw a couple vanguards in ahead of it, and I must have missed the nuke here. No, they self-destructed. They called it quits.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Interesting. Well, I was looking at the eco, but against the nuke spam, to the second nuke, there's nothing you can do. There really isn't. And they're running out of units, and even though the eco might have looked otherwise, I think if you look at Red's base, it's absolutely solid. They've got tons of units producing, and Black was sort of on their last legs, really.
Yeah, it was coming. Oh yeah.